Their call for gun control never seems to end, ladies and gentlemen. Never seems to end. They have, as Mark Levin says, Tourette's when it comes to this. Gun control, gun control. That's all they ever talk about, these liberals. All they ever talk about. Caller, welcome to the Jason Veely program. Go right ahead.
Hi, man. It's Christian from Ottawa again. I think I called you before.
Yes, hi, Christian.
So in your first segment there, you said you want a liberal to answer some questions for you. Well,
yeah,
you have wrong.
All right.
I have answered.
Let me ask you again. Which law? Thank you for calling, by the way. I appreciate that. Which law would have stopped the shooter in Virginia?
I think the big problem with this shooter is this is a guy that I think.
No. Which law, though?
Which law?
All right. Let me set up. Hold on. Let me just set up a scenario for you, Christian. You're the president.
Yep.
Which law would you set up? Let's say you had full power like Barack Obama does. Let's say that you had full power to establish a gun control law. Which gun control law specifically would you establish that would have stopped this criminal in Virginia?
For me, the problem is I don't think the full details on the shooter's life are available. But let's say they were. I would say the big thing I would probably do is, well, we should probably have a lot stiffer background checks now. And because the big thing.
So background checks would have stopped this guy.
Yeah, because if this guy is a guy who has a mental illness that we could have, could have found if he'd gone under a psychological evaluation, then yes.
Christian, you know that we already have background checks, though, right? Help me understand this, because I keep hearing people from the left say that, we just need more background checks for these people. We need more background checks. We need more intensive background checks. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, we already have background checks. You guys act like we don't even have any system, like we're giving out guns left and right like candy.
So here's the problem is, and it's something I became aware of during the last shooting in Charleston, is you do have background checks, yes, but the problem is if you buy a gun from a store, there is I believe within 2 or 3 days, even if the background check hasn't been completed yet, you can be given the gun. So it undermines the entire point of the background check. Okay,
so you would fix that and make it so that you couldn't get the gun until the background check was completed. And in your view, that would have stopped this guy in Virginia.
That would go a very long way.
Would it have stopped this guy in Virginia?
That's you don't you
no,
never know
but that
for
is
sure
the point
anything.
though, because my question to you was which law specifically would have stopped this guy in Virginia, and I asked you said more background checks, and I asked you, okay, so would further background checks have stopped this guy in Virginia? And you're dancing around, not really giving me a straightforward answer, yes or no. It seems to me like the answer very well is no. Here's the thing, Christian. Here's the thing. Here's the fundamental point. Criminals do not follow. Do acknowledge that criminals, by definition, do not follow the law. Do you acknowledge that?
I would acknowledge that.
Okay, so why is the solution always with the left? More laws.
Okay, here's. I think this will help you understand it.
No, I don't need help understanding it. I'm asking you a question. Why is the answer always more laws if you just acknowledged that more laws don't stop criminals because, by definition, criminals don't follow laws?
Why would a wall on the Mexican border stop illegal Mexican immigrants?
We're not talking about that. We're talking right now. We're talking. But it's not relevant because we're talking about a constitutional right here. And when you enact more and more laws, more and more gun control, it infringes on our Second Amendment rights. That's the difference. Now, we can have a discussion, Christian, we can have a discussion about the immigration laws some other time, but we're talking about gun control here. I'll ask you again, if you admitted that by definition criminals don't follow laws, why is your solution, and the majority of the liberals in this country, their solution always to be pile on more regulations and more laws? How does that make any sense? Help me understand that.
Because it's worked in other first world democracies, and I don't see how the U.S. is a unique case from every other first world nation.
But Christian,
the U.S. has had 30% of all of the world's mass shootings. since 1966. The U.S. has had over 250. The next closest country had 18. Like, I think that says something.
Christian, all right, 2 points here, Christian, in response to that. Number one, we're nowhere close to the top of on the list of countries in terms of who has the most gun violence in the world. We're nowhere near close to the top. Second, and this is a point that I brought up in the first segment, since the early 1990s, this is according to FBI information, FBI statistics, since the early 90s, the amount of gun owners in this country has skyrocketed by the millions. And yet, since the early 90s, year by year, consistently, gun violence, murders, rapes, whatever, has gone down. Can you explain that to me?
So, I think a big thing is the U.S. in the first world is at the top of the list. And I think it's unfair to compare, let's say, Yemen to the United States on gun violence, because there's way too many other factors leading to that. And to your second point...
But we also have liberty in this country, too. You got to take that into account. That's something that all you Democrats seem to ignore time and time again.
I would make an argument that...
Are you like Josh Earnest, Christian, who forgets what the Second Amendment is?
I know what the Second Amendment is.
All right.
And I know.
I beg to differ. Thank you very much for your call, my friend. Doesn't know what the Second Amendment. More background checks. Okay. Okay, Christian, I get it. Thank you for your call, by the way. Call back anytime. I just got to run. But more background checks. Okay, more laws. He acknowledged to me, he admitted to me, that criminals, by definition, do not follow laws. And so I asked him, how does it make any sense to have the solution to gun violence in this country be more laws? I couldn't really get a straightforward answer out of him. I brought up the fact that the FBI has gathered data that says that even though the amount of gun owners has skyrocketed since the early 90s, the amount of killings has gone down consistently year by year. Why is that? No answer.